The moments when you're on your own in space, looking down on Earth through the cupola window, they're very, very special. It's actually surprisingly quiet, calm, and tranquil. I mean, the space station is going at 25 times the speed of sound, and you're looking down 400 kilometers, and the Earth is passing relatively quickly beneath you. But you don't actually notice that speed, and there's no engine noise, there's no vibration, there's nothing powering the space station around at that speed. It's just purely Newton's laws. You're in orbit, floating. When you actually get out there yourself, it's a mixture of emotions because it's absolutely phenomenal to see the universe from just a thin visor and to be able to turn around in any direction and just to be look one direction the Earth, the next direction the Milky Way. I ended up on the path I did, I think because I did enjoy science subjects at school. I absolutely loved physics back then and still do. I guess that gave me a background in STEM. First time I sat in the cockpit of an aircraft, I never looked back. I knew that was something that I wanted to do. It was an absolute driving passion, so I applied to be an Army Air Corps pilot. To be an Army pilot at the time, I needed 3 A-levels. That was actually a tougher hurdle to negotiate than you might think. I wasn't, academically brilliant at all. I managed to get a C, D, and an E at A-level in maths, physics, and chemistry, which I think is actually not a bad message to send. I mean, the fact that you can still go on and achieve a degree later in life, which I did. I was in my 30s when I gained a degree in flight dynamics. I loved flying aircraft. I loved understanding what made them work. I loved trying to make them better. And that led to becoming a test pilot. It was all about being in the cockpit. It was being at the sharp edge, pushing boundaries. And as a test pilot, we work a lot more closely with industry, and the space industry, the aviation industry are so closely linked that it really began to open my eyes to the possibility of becoming an astronaut. The astronaut selection process, it's a year long. It is a very demanding year, very tough year, but actually if you just break it down one step at a time, it doesn't have to be. So go along, relax, enjoy it. When I went for the round of hard skills, the majority of the people had PhDs, very, very bright individuals, lots of scientists, lots of engineers. I felt completely out of my depth. But in the same way, you've got to look beyond that and say, well, hang on a second, yes, they're bringing a lot to the party, but you also have to draw on your own character and your own strengths and think, well, again, this is something I believe in and I'm going to give it my best shot, but I'm not afraid of giving it a go and I'm not afraid of failing it. I was just treating this as an incredible experience, an opportunity to, try and go for something that was an absolute, dream job. Being assigned to a mission to the space station is the most euphoric moment of my life. When I received that phone call that said, Tim, you've been given a mission, and it's a long duration, 6 months. It was the culmination of all my hopes and dreams. At the moment that the rocket lifts off, it's all about focus and being on the job. All the thoughts you've had prior to that about the risk and about leaving your family behind, that's done and dealt with when you strap into the rocket. The space station is a test bed for cutting-edge technologies, for spacecraft, for exploration of the solar system. So from that perspective, flying a spacecraft, going to a space station, doing spacewalks, new exciting pieces of equipment, pieces of technology, scientific experiments was fantastic. A typical mission over 6 months will run about 300 experiments. That's why we're up there. That's why the space station was built as a scientific laboratory. But at the same time, we have to maintain it. It's 20 years old, and we have to do spacewalks for maintenance outside the space station and also for scientific experiments outside the space station as well. I think every astronaut looks at things differently when they come back. It changes your perspective. You get to see the Earth in its natural place in the solar system. With the exception of your 5 other crewmates, every other human being in the universe is living on that planet. So when you go into space and you then look back at this little blue jewel beneath you and you think, wow, that's the only place I know where we can survive. It becomes very precious to you. And it does make you feel certainly more attached to Earth and to want to make sure that we look after the planet. I've never forgotten, my chemistry teacher at school said, life is like a dustbin, you get out what you put in. And it might be a harsh piece of advice, but it's so true. I mean, nothing is going to just roll in front of you and present itself. You have to work hard, and then you will create your own luck.